Hi, this is Shelby from Turnsounds. Unpeel a banana before eating it.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist.
And I'm Abby, a clinical nutritionist. And this is the Move Your Mind podcast,
where we talk all things diet, exercise and well-being and back it up with evidence
from our Bachelor of Health Science degrees. So welcome and let's get into it.
Hello, Abby.
Okay. Hello across the computer screen.
We are recording remotely today because Perth is in its current, fourth day of 5 days of lockdown. We figured we'd do our part and stay separate today and do our podcast via Zoom. Are we allowed to say Zoom? They don't sponsor us, but they could.
Zoom sponsor us, please. That would be good. But yeah, we are in separate locations, keeping safe.
Yeah, and less quality audio than we usually like to put out. But we figured it's better this week just to get out.
Yeah. And I mean, if it sounds completely horrible, we'll just re-record.
We just
but
won't do it.
If you're hearing this, it's acceptable audio. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's get into what we're actually talking about.
Yes.
We are going to discuss, nutrition around exercise, because that's something I get asked a lot. And I'm sure as an exercise physiologist, Shelby, you get asked it a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of confusion around what's the best thing or the right thing to eat before a workout, after a workout, even during, if you need any supplementation during a workout.
Yeah.
And I feel like lots of people get almost guilt tripped into certain ways of eating because they're told it's the right way and you must eat this then and you must,
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
and within time limits.
Here to discuss that.
Yeah, because I have quite a few clients who are new to working out. So it's all of it is a new experience, and a lot of them can feel quite nauseous during a session, even if I try and take it easy on them because they're new. And so then they ask, well, should I eat before my session? Should I not eat before my session? And currently I've just been kind of like trial and error, like try something and see if it works. But we were going to do I was going to do some professional development with you actually in our workplace. You were going to come in and teach us all this stuff, and then lockdown. So I'm to be hearing.
Love lockdown. Yeah, I know you get a sneaky peek into what I was going to tell you at the gym. You're lucky. But quick answer to that little discussion is you are actually right with the avenue you go down. It's completely up to each person, in particular, whether or not they eat before a workout. You hear some people say, you must eat before a workout. Like, if you don't eat before you work out, you'll start breaking down muscle tissue and like all of this silly stuff. And then some people say, no, you must not eat before a workout because then you're more likely to burn fat, and we all want to burn fat. Like, that's the goal of working out. But everyone has different goals, and that's an important thing to say. Some people can't sustain a workout without eating, and that's when I'd say definitely eat before you work out, because you want to optimize your exercise intensity.
Exactly.
And then some people, if they eat a meal, particularly before like morning training, like if they eat a meal too close, they feel sick and they feel like it's coming back up, and then their exercise intensity is jeopardized in a different way.
Drops off crazy. Like if they start to feel sick, you're not doing much of anything after that point.
Yeah. So it depends on how you feel and how your body works, whether or not you eat before you exercise, particularly in the morning. I want to just preface that right now I'm talking about morning training, because if you're training in the afternoon or the evening, of course you're going to eat before you train.
Because
you should have eaten 2 meals prior.
Yeah.
But we're talking about those that train in the morning.
Yeah.
So, like, if you prefer to eat, this is what I advise you. So you want to have a mix of your macronutrients always for like a balanced meal or snack. But there's certain ratios of your carbohydrates, your fat and your protein, which most efficiently fuel your muscles and kind of optimize the speed of digestion so you can use the fuel you uptake quickly.
Cool. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, and we talked about this before, fat tends to slow down digestion. It takes more energy to break down because fat is your highest caloric macronutrient.
Yes.
So it has the most amount of energy per gram, so your body takes more energy to break it down.
Cool.
So pre-workout snack or meal, it's not a great idea to go with anything really high fat.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking like don't have any nuts, because like nuts or seeds in a small amount is a good addition to your pre-workout, but don't go having, I don't know, any fried fatty foods, having hash browns before you work out, overloading on like full fat yogurt or even, that's a healthy food, but it's not an ideal food for pre-workout.
And is that because it doesn't break down quick enough to fuel you for the workout, or because it's kind of like sitting around in your stomach, not being broken down?
That's a good question. Well, fat depends on what type of exercise you do, but if you're going for like a strength training or resistance training, high intensity, you won't use fat as fuel.
Yeah.
So you won't use fat as fuel for that. So the fat will slow down your carbohydrate digestion, and you want to use carbohydrates. So then, what am I saying?
If it's because it doesn't break down quick enough to fuel your workout, or it's around. So if we're talking,
this Zoom is messing with my brain.
If we're talking moderate intensity exercise, you'll want to utilize carbohydrates, and if you have a high fat meal beforehand, you won't be able to break the carbohydrates down.
Shelby, you said it. What a legend. Thank you. So that's the fat portion covered. I'm glad you understand me. I must be making some sense if you can replay what I said. Okay, spot on. And then you get to your carbohydrates. So as we mentioned, typically for morning like strength training, you will utilize carbohydrates as your primary fuel source. So you want them quickly available. And then that links into your GI concept.
Yes.
So as a review, GI is glycemic index. It's a measure of how quickly the carbohydrate breaks down into glucose in your bloodstream and then can be delivered to your body cells to be used as energy.
Yeah.
So usually in like a balanced diet, breakfast, lunch, dinner, just as a whole picture, we say try to go more low GI because they provide a more steady fuel source throughout the day.
Blood sugar.
So they promote more steady blood sugar regulation. But if you want quick source of carbohydrates for your workout, then you want to steer towards high GI.
Yes.
Because it delivers the glucose more quickly.
Yes.
So pre-workout carbohydrates, you want to go for maybe even the white bread, some rice cakes, a banana, some honey, maybe some like even rice bubbles or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not like, question.
Sorry, I'm sidetrack. Does that still go for people who are glucose intolerant or type 2 or type 1 diabetic? Do you still want the high GI before a workout?
That is a difficult question. I'm talking about the general population.
Exactly. Who can regulate having high glucose,
their blood sugar properly. They've got a good working pancreas and good insulin response. That's people with diabetes will tend to have a more specific pre-workout meal plan, and they will have the insulin that goes with their GI. So yes, diabetic people can have higher GI foods, but it does take more knowledge and usually more insulin. So that's something that each individual will need to be aware of.
That's fair. And they would typically have that kind of plan available.
Yeah. I definitely advise if you are type 1 or type 2 diabetic that's wanting to get into exercise, see a dietitian or a nutritionist. Because there's kind of possibility that diabetics go into like extreme hyper or hypo depending on the amount of carbohydrate they intake before exercise. So yeah, individualized management is my answer to that question.
Cool.
But good question.
Good one.
I like it. So yeah, pre-workout meal or snack. So far we've got moderate your fat intake because it slows down digestion and you want quick delivery of fuel to your muscles.
Mm-hmm.
You want to opt for maybe high GI carbohydrates if you're having a meal probably like the hour before.
Which typically in the morning we don't have that much time before our workout.
Yeah, precisely. And then protein, that once again, moderate. So it is a good idea to give yourself some protein, provide some circulating amino acids to kind of jump in there when you start breaking down your muscle, I guess. But I would prioritize carbohydrates in your pre-workout meal or snack because they are going to be the predominant source of energy.
Nice.
So simple as that.
Yeah.
When you approach your pre-workout meals, think, what will my body need to drive this workout? 9 out of 10 times, it will be carbohydrates.
Yeah. Yeah, because you need something.
You do have,
so a bit more of a short-term strategy.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And you do have types of exercise, as you know, that will utilize fat predominantly.
Yeah,
and then
one of my questions was going to be about fasted cardio for sure, if we're talking workouts and
Yeah, so tell me, do you have clients that are into fasted cardio?
Yeah, well, before we jump into that, first off, is it bad to do moderate to vigorous intensity workout without eating in the morning? Or if you can tolerate it, do it? Or is there a certain, do you have higher glycogen stores sitting in your body? Are you more able to handle that? What does that look like?
Yes. So once again, it is individual. I wouldn't say it's bad to not eat, but it's not ideal.
Yeah.
So imagine you've gone to sleep. They say it's about 8 to 10 hours for your glycogen stores to start to deplete. So most people between their last meal, say dinner or dessert, and morning training, it would be at least that amount of time.
Yeah.
So your body does not have ample carbohydrate stores. Then you go into a training session without topping them up with a pre-workout snack or meal that involves carbohydrates. You're not going to have optimal amounts of energy to draw upon to fuel your moderate to vigorous intensity exercise.
Cool.
So then you'll find yourself fatiguing quicker. Your exercise intensity will decrease. Might even get dizzy.
I was going to say,
because blood sugar
and concentration and things like that.
Yeah. Power output will be decreased. You might even place yourself at risk of injury. So
from
I would
fatigue
say
from not concentrating on what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. So I'd say if you're going for strength training or anything with a moderate to vigorous intensity in the morning, a small amount of pre-exercise fuel is optimal.
Cool.
So that's when you go for a banana or one piece of white bread with a little bit of honey, a rice cake with some nut butter.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be much, but I definitely advise having something for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then say back to the other types of exercise, which is more the low intensity, which doesn't necessarily use as many carbohydrates because you've got, it's getting complicated. You've got more oxygen in your body. So fat to break down as fuel and use as energy requires more oxygen than carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So that's why fat utilization for exercise is usually correlated with lower intensity, say like, your walk or your Pilates or your yoga.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're going to do that in the morning, I'd say that's definitely more acceptable to go without food if you can tolerate it. If you don't feel hungry and you feel okay to exercise, then you can go without fuel and not jeopardize your performance.
Yeah.
And you can and probably will tap into any fat stores that you might have because your glycogen is depleted. Your body's got to use something for fuel.
Exactly. Anyone that I know that purposefully uses fasted, like cardio, I guess, does just that. They do a lower intensity, higher volume or time frame set in the morning of walking or something. And the girl in mind, she was doing it for like a bodybuilding, or like a bikini model type thing, in which she was coming down to the wire where she needed to be cutting. And so that was really important part of her prep, was doing fast cardio, which was lower intensity for a higher amount of time to do.
With oxygen available to your body to use the fat stores you have. It's fasted cardio is legit. Like, it's definitely a method, and it's widely used, especially, as you said, in the bodybuilding industry.
We've touched on this on our fasted cardio episode.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
A little bit about it in the following one on exercise,
but just as a reminder, for people that aren't prepping for anything or don't need any extreme fat loss, you don't need to go ahead and do fasting cardio. It's not a miracle cure for fat loss. All it does is just encourage a calorie deficit, which is involved in fat loss, and the oxygen allows your body to more than likely go into fat stores. You can't guarantee it, though. Your body's not going to be like, oh, we're doing fasted cardio, time to get the fat.
I haven't eaten, let's go.
You can't actually guarantee it. And yes, it could tap into your protein stores a little bit.
Yes.
There has been studies that show there's about 2 times the amount of protein breakdown in fasted state exercise.
Okay.
Even low intensity. But then again, that breakdown was mitigated by enough amino acids post-workout.
Yeah, I was going to say, anyone who's doing fasted cardio that I've seen has enough knowledge and like a nutrition coach that everything would be accounted for anyway. A layperson who's still figuring out what like eating behaviors to change is going to be less likely to allow for that protein breakdown.
And I feel like some people, they will force themselves to do fasted cardio because they've heard it's a great fat loss method, but without fuel, they drop their blood sugars too low, which then puts themselves up for dysregulation during the day, and they end up eating more than they would during the day if they just had a little bit of food before their exercise. And then they put themselves in a calorie surplus, and the so-called fat loss in the morning is mitigated. So it's just something to assess.
I think we said the same about HIIT training, that some people are just starving after their HIIT session, and then that and it just gets rid of everything that they were trying to do from a weight management perspective.
Loss perspective. If that was their goal. So just something to think about, listeners, I guess, with your own body, and you know how you feel after training fasted versus training with fuel. So it's trial and error. For me, that's definitely what I've done. I can sustain exercise without eating in the morning, and I feel completely fine. And I just make sure I have a good post-workout meal afterwards to replenish my glycogen stores and provide some protein for muscle recovery.
So, we touched on pre-workout 2 episodes ago. Post-workout protein powder. That's what I meant to say.
We did.
And so what else are we looking at from a post-workout meal or fuel?
So once again, it's nice to have all the macronutrients to provide that bit of balance, but we want to kind of optimize the ratios for what our body needs. So post-workout, you can imagine you've created little tears in your muscle tissues. Your muscles need some amino acids for rebuilding. You've lost some water. You've sweated. You've lost some electrolytes. And also you have depleted glycogen stores because your body would have used all that glucose chilling around and stored in your muscles. So priorities for post-workout, definitely protein, because we all know building blocks of muscle, they help with muscle growth and recovery. So getting in, they say 15 to 30 grams post-workout is optimal. And that can come from a good protein powder, as we discussed. Go back to our protein powder episode for more on that. Could even be something like 2 hard-boiled eggs if you're going for a snack, or if you're going for a meal, have a good palm-sized serve of chicken, fish or red meat if you're able to have that, tofu, chickpeas. So just any protein source that you can manage, and having a good palm-sized serve will give your body the amino acids it does need.
Cool.
Be mindful that vegetarian protein sources don't have a complete amino acid profile. So it might lack the branched chain amino acids, particularly leucine, which we talked about quite a bit, especially in the protein powder episode, and you didn't know what it was. You know what it is now? What does leucine do? Tell me.
I can't remember.
She can't remember. I love it.
I only record these and then edit them after, and it's not like I listen to it twice or anything. What does leucine do, Abby? I'm good at something.
You're good at lots of things, Shelby. Leucine is one of the most important amino acids for muscle protein synthesis.
Absolutely.
So I'll tell them. Your animal-based protein sources do have more optimal sources of leucine. Not sources, more optimal amounts of leucine.
Yeah. And that's what's lacking in a vegetarian option?
So if you are a vegetarian, I'm not saying that you're not going to be able to gain muscle after your workout. You just have to be more mindful. Get in the protein combining, like do some beans and rice, or if you're going for the protein powder, have one with a combination of pea and brown rice.
Yeah.
So I would actually recommend a good vegan protein powder for vegans that do want a surefire post-workout meal or snack, because it just guarantees that nice amino acid profile for muscle recovery. And in terms of timing, have you heard of the anabolic window?
More so, like I've definitely heard people be like, oh, you have to eat within like 20 minutes of your workout or the protein doesn't count or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yes, it is. It sounds a bit majestic. I think it's a little bit silly, to be honest.
I feel like anything with rules like that just doesn't exist anymore. Like we've just debunked everything that's like this way or this way. It's just like...
Yeah. And that's what I love. Like we've realized we actually are human and we're not robots.
Yeah.
Which is very important. So yeah, the anabolic window, some people say you must have 30 grams of protein in the 20 minutes to 1 hour after you work out to get those muscle gains. True in some aspects, your body actually does bring in amino acids more efficiently in the 30 minutes to 1 hour after your workout.
Yep.
So if you really want to optimize, get it in then, but doesn't go to say that after that 1 hour mark your body doesn't use the amino acids, because it most definitely does.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of the anabolic window and protein timing, it is great to get it in prior to an hour. So if you do a hard sesh and you know that lunch is 2-3 hours away, I definitely recommend preparing some sort of snack, bringing your hard-boiled eggs, buying a protein bar, bringing some protein powder in a little shaker to have after your workout. One, for muscle gains, for two, give your body some fuel.
Something else.
Because it's hard to deplete all your stores and then go about your day. I'm sure people would feel a little bit fatigued if they did that.
Absolutely.
And then carbohydrates. I feel like they are a bit underrated for post-workout.
Cool. Okay.
So people just like protein. And fun fact, carbohydrates actually accelerate amino acid delivery into your muscle tissue.
Yeah.
You're nodding your head.
That makes
You've heard
sense.
that before.
Like, that makes sense.
So they actually recommend, when I say they, I mean like Sports Dietitians Association or any sports nutritionists out there, researchers, a carb to protein ratio of 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 post-workout.
So more carbs than protein? Or yeah, wow, cool.
Yeah. So that is for the acceleration of the amino acids, but also for glycogen replenishment.
Yeah.
So as we discussed, after the workout, your glucose and glycogen stores will be depleted. And if you want to sustain a regular exercise regime, then it is good to refuel your body and restore your glycogen. So next training session, you've got those optimal concentrations to go again at your best intensity.
Yeah.
So makes sense. Post-workout, it's great to get your carbohydrates in as well, and high GI comes back again because you want quick delivery.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, moderate to higher GI post-workout.
Yeah.
So you can even, I like to have some white rice after an intense training session because I eat it and I'm like, yeah, go to my muscles.
Amazing.
Brown rice isn't bad, but it just provides slower delivery. So it will pay off. But I think it's like the higher GI post-workout, the faster your glycogen replenishes, and you can get to like 100% replenishment. Whereas the longer you leave it and the lower the GI, your max replenishment sits like 50, 60%.
Okay.
I've got a graph in my head.
That's amazing. Because I definitely have clients who will feel sick during a session or towards the end of the session, or find it really hard to feel better after a session. So as my advice to them is to have something high GI after. Like if it's too late to get their pre-workout meal in and I've got them in front of me and they're not feeling well.
Oh, so they haven't eaten before working out?
Or, yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking, yeah. Or just whatever happens, they feel sick during the session. Which
so I would advise...
think is because they haven't eaten enough during the day, is what I've...
And it's a blood sugar issue? Yeah, if you assume, if there's signs that show that it might be low blood sugar, then having something high GI, your banana, some dried fruit, rice cakes, even something like coconut water that contains some sugars, some natural sugars from the coconut, and also electrolytes.
Of course.
It's got a great amount of potassium, which can help kind of balance out your blood electrolyte levels.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to go with.
Cool.
I love some coconut water in my protein shake after a workout.
Nice.
Electrolytes, carbs, protein. Great. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So usually nausea or lightheadedness during or towards the end of a workout could be low blood sugar or dehydration. So electrolytes and water and anything that delivers glucose quickly to your bloodstream would be go-tos, I'd say.
So you've said electrolytes. I think of like a sports straight away.
Yeah.
What else? Or is that the good source, or are there other things? What are electrolytes in?
A sports drink or electrolytes are best delivered really with supplementation. So you've got like the hydrolyte tablets, or you've got electrolyte powders, you've got coconut water as a natural source.
Cool.
Even sports drinks, I used to be like really opposed to them in my early nutrition days because I was like, oh my gosh, sugar. But depending on the intensity of your exercise, if you're doing high intensity exercise for an hour, then you're going to be depleting your body of that sugar, and it actually needs it. Sugar isn't bad.
Yeah.
In that instance, excess sugar is bad.
Yes.
But after an intense exercise session, your body will need it. So even things like sports drinks.
Cool.
Yeah. And what haven't we touched on? Oh, fats for post-workout.
Yep.
Kind of similar to your pre-workout. Limit them, moderate them, because they slow down delivery of your carbohydrates and your protein to your muscles and tissues. So,
Cool. So main meals can be a little bit more fat in the sense of still moderation, but fat and moderate GI. And then what I'm hearing is kind of like snacks before and after workout can be lower in fat and higher in GI.
Yes. Yeah. Because the closer you eat to your workout, the faster you want to digest and the quicker you want the delivery. So you go lower hindrance to speed of digestion, lower fat, and you go faster delivery, higher GI. And then, the idea is if you're having meals as your pre-post workout, given that you have accessibility to food in the 1 to 2 hours, actually more like 2 to 3, then they can be more balanced because your body has more time to put the carbohydrates in your tissues and store it and be ready rather than sitting in your digestive tract. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's 2 to 3 hours before a workout, you can go a little bit more moderate GI, but if you're within the hour before your workout, go higher GI.
Yeah.
Is that what we say?
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of timing, just like a quick recap, I'd say like pre-workout meal, if you're going for a balanced meal, like a full breakfast or a full lunch or a full dinner if you train really late, then I'd say 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like that sustains you for your workout, no need to have a snack. If you feel a little bit more hungry, the 30 minutes to the 1 hour before you train, go for your high GI, low fat, moderate protein snack. And then post-workout, if you have accessibility to food or a good meal in the hour after you work out, stick with that. You don't need a snack.
Yeah.
But if it's going to push to the 2-3 hours, it's probably better for your recovery and your overall energy to prepare a snack, which is once again higher GI, lower fat, and focusing on good source of protein.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds manageable.
Does that answer that? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, it seems like a lot of information, but I hope the little pockets of what do we call it? Logic that we've put in there kind of makes sense, and you can take away the kind of faster digesting, lower fat, quick delivery. Think about your electrolytes. Dehydration plays a big role. You don't have to eat before you work out if it's going to be low intensity. But if you're going high intensity, it is advised that you have some high GI carbohydrates to fuel your muscles and optimize performance, I guess.
What if I want to do really long workout sessions? Is there any way that you would eat during a session? Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen like The Rock or whatever have like massive meals throughout his workouts. What's the thought process behind eating during a workout?
Yeah, so eating during a workout, that's not usually the general population. I'd say that would be like endurance athletes or crazy The Rock resistance trainers that go for the 1 hour plus moderate to vigorous intensity.
Yep.
So I'm thinking like cyclists or something like that. They will bring a quick source of carbohydrates
like
to provide a little top up.
Right?
Yeah. So you can get the gels. Some people have dates. They have fruit juice. They'll have dried fruit. They'll have sports drinks to sustain and give that little top up to give your body some sugar to just push through. Some people, they'll have BCA drinks.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that? Do you see people going around the gym with BCAAs?
Potentially. Like, I feel like I can see the logo, like the thing in my head, but I don't know.
Yeah. So BCAAs are your branched chain amino acids. Okay. It's kind of like a buzzword in the fitness industry, I think. People will drink them during their workout.
Yeah.
Because it provides amino acids to mitigate muscle breakdown. There's talk that it reduces delayed onset muscle soreness and fatigue. I'd say if you are just part of the general public, you exercise for your hour, don't waste your money, because your body will be able to sustain a 1 hour workout completely fine. Just focus on a good post-workout meal with your complete amino acid profile, and you'll get the muscle recovery you need. But if you're pushing the 1, 2, 3 hour training sessions, which is crazy, props to anyone that does that. Then BCAAs might be of benefit because they can delay fatigue, because they do and can provide fuel source, because they can be deposited in muscles. And they can provide some amino acids to kind of reduce the, what's the word for it? Reduce the extent of muscle breakdown.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I wouldn't recommend the general public needing to eat in a workout.
What if I am still figuring things out? I didn't eat beforehand. Now I feel sick during, and I have a couple dates on hand.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be okay still to eat something small like that throughout?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
It's never a bad thing.
Yeah. Just whether it's necessary or not.
Yeah. So if you are someone that's prone to getting super lightheaded during a training session, yeah, have a backup.
Cool.
Have a banana.
Yeah.
I always have a banana in my car. Obviously, I swap it. I don't leave the same one in there for ages. Can you imagine? They smell. I get in my car and I'm like, woo, banana.
For a long time, I always had a muesli bar with me wherever I went.
That's a great option.
Because it comes in so handy.
Yes. Yeah.
If you have
as soon
to
as you feel that drop
somewhere or anything, and then you're like, okay, well, at least I have this really quick snack.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that.
That's cool.
You definitely can eat during, but general public, it's not necessary. And don't waste your money on BCAAs, because your body can and will rebuild muscle with your post-workout meal. Yeah. It's not necessary. They're taking your money.
Because the majority of people are general pop, which is one bout of exercise a day, if not every day, if not less than that.
Yeah.
Within a day of normal eating. So.
I mean, if you have the money and your BCAAs taste nice and they kind of have a placebo effect, which push you through a little bit more, go for it.
Cool.
But you don't need them.
You don't need them.
Yeah, not at all. It's kind of like pre-workouts. Lots of people are having pre-workouts and they have crazy amount of stimulants, crazy amount of caffeine. People get jittery and like spacey,
like crazy,
and all of that, and like tingles in their arms and legs. It kind of scares me. As you can tell, I don't take pre-workouts.
No.
I'd say a long black is just as effective.
I was going to say, I've had
all the studies go towards like 100 to 200 or max 300 milligrams of caffeine in the hour prior to exercise is enough to delay onset of fatigue.
Cool.
So make yourself a coffee. Don't waste your time on pre-workouts. You'll probably overstimulate and you won't be focusing on the intent of your exercise. So challenge yourself.
And then is there like a crash associated with that afterwards? And then like we're thinking follow-on behaviours as far as how much caffeine you're having throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You've had that crazy response in the morning or whatever.
Well, the extreme high amounts of caffeine can promote glycogen breakdown and delivery of glucose into your bloodstream, so that can promote maybe dysregulation of blood sugar during the day.
Yeah.
Kind of like that fight or flight, which dysregulates appetite, which makes you go for all the refined carbohydrates to restore that sugar. So yeah, something to think about if you're a pre-workout user. And fat burners too. Have you heard about people using fat burners?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a client
once again
ask me for some, and I went, no. He's like, you mean you don't have a guy? I was like, no, I do not condone use of those. Are you sure?
Like a fat burner dealer. Hit me up.
I absolutely do not agree with that decision that you're making.
Yeah. So for anyone that is wanting a fat burner, they essentially are caffeine.
I was going to say, don't they just make
kind of boosts
heart rate go up? And then, in theory, your metabolism will increase from that.
In theory.
Yeah.
They also have cofactors of fat oxidation pathways. So like your L-creatine and things like that, which are used for your body to go into fat burning state. But once again, you can't guarantee what your body's going to use it for. So it's a big marketing ploy. If you want to burn fat, you can implement fasted cardio. That is effective. You can also go into a calorie deficit. So if you're having a fat burner and you think you're burning all your fat, and then you go into a calorie surplus because you've put your body in a fight or flight state and you overeat during the day, then you're not burning the fat that you paid to burn. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Nothing beats good exercise, moderate diet, probably some portion control, and just general common sense. No quick fixes. Everyone wants them.
And nothing beats whole foods as well in terms of pre-post workout. You don't need any magic pills or any magic powders fuel yourself. I think challenging yourself to go away from supplementation and educate yourself on the ability of whole foods to fuel you through your workout and recover you after a workout is like a really good educational tool.
Absolutely. I think
so that's something to invest your time into.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like if you're willing to set that kind of stuff up, I think that's a good behavior that is probably followed by other helpful behaviors.
Yeah, definitely. And then you look at the nutritional value of food. You say, what can this pre-post do for my body? And then you've got a whole new perspective. When you look at food for nourishment, rather than just something that sits in your pantry, I guess. I'm getting into my foodie state.
Have you covered everything you wanted to cover? I reckon we did a lot.
Yeah, I think we did too.
Yeah.
We always, how are we going to talk for that long? No. 40 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. Every time.
If any listeners have any questions, send them through.
Absolutely.
moveyourmind.podcast on Instagram these days.
Yeah, or turnsounds@gmail.com, or even our website now has like a contact us form that you can click.
Yeah.
On that, do you want to plug
Yes.
in? Hey.
Definitely. We've got a new initiative with Turnsounds called Plug In, and by subscribing to Move Your Mind for $5 a month, that is it, guys. We don't want to take your money.
Don't get your BCAs. Subscribe and support us. Move Your Mind.
Yes. Completely. You'll get extra content. So with this episode, I'm going to list my favorite pre-post workout snacks and certain brands that I like, with a little bit of education on the side, so you can just link up. Bit of a summary of the episode, I guess.
Cool.
And then with each episode, you'll get something else related as well.
Oh, yeah. So like on the exercise-focused episodes, I'll come up with a bit of a workout for us. We were going to do last ones together and then lockdown. So we might need to run that one through separately. Or do it.
No, we can do it. WA's got this. We'll be out of lockdown soon.
Come on. I know.
Fingers crossed. Don't jinx it.
Tomorrow morning, Friday morning. So we have one day left. So I hope everyone gets through it okay.
Yeah, hope everyone's feeling well. Talk to people. If you do get anxious during this time, if you feel confused or lonely, message us. We're always in ear.
Absolutely. That is a very real offer.
Completely. Yeah, very genuine.
Cool.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the slightly scratchy audio. Hopefully next episode it will be nice and clear in the studio.
And the grainy video if you're watching us.
Me with my glasses on.
You look so
my lovely lighting. Got my leg up on a chair. Thanks, everyone.